least one at home, but still Celtics are going to take it.
I don't know. It looks to me that the Celtics were like playing dead.
The Celtics.
Like toying with them. But were never really in doubt of victory. So if the Pacers want to pull off an upset, well, I guess it wouldn't be an upset, want to pull out a victory and make this series interesting, they have to do it this game. If you get down 3-0, you're without your best player, and the Celtics are just clicking on all cylinders with Kyrie. If you don't win this game, might as well not even play Game 4.
Right. All right, what's next?
Next? No, I don't have any more for that.
No.
Okay.
Blazers and the Thunder. This series is proving to be really, really, really bad for the Knicks. Because if the Blazers move on and somehow win another series, Damian Lillard will not be leaving Portland. And I've decided as a Knicks fan, I would rather have Damian Lillard than Kevin Durant.
If they get Lillard, I'm buying a jersey.
Yeah. Anyways, so the Blazers up 2-0 on OKC. Paul George has been surprisingly absent.
Yeah.
Or, depending on if you ask Tony from last year, watching those Gatorade commercials, he is particularly correctly absent. But Paul George absolutely needs to play better if the Thunder have any chance at winning. But I do want to ask you, with this series, would this series be any different if the Thunder still had Melo?
No.
The answer is obviously no. The answer to that question is obviously no.
It's almost like saying who?
Yeah. Actually, the answer might be yes. The Blazers might look even more dominant. Because how much defense did he play, Dan O'Shea?
0, zilch, nada.
Oh, that's better than I was giving. I was giving him -6.
He was probably negative.
Yeah.
It's Nate Peterman.
No, I'd rather have Nate Peterman on my basketball team than Carmelo Anthony. He plays defense.
He does.
He does. Anyways, so Blazers Thunder. Blazers up 2-0. Again, if the Thunder don't win this game in Oklahoma City, they're a 7.5-point favorite, by the way.
Right.
The Thunder are a 7.5-point favorite. The only injured player is Amadou Diallo, out for the Thunder. So how the Thunder are 7.5-point favorite? What does Vegas know that we don't?
I feel like home court for basketball is pretty huge. And OKC has a fantastic crowd, so I think that's really gonna play a role.
All right, well, we'll see. We got 2 more series to talk about. Bucks Pistons. This next game is in Detroit. Bucks are an 8.5-point favorite in Detroit.
And even that's too low. I would bet on the Bucks to win by at least 12.
How much of a difference would Blake Griffin make? Healthy Blake Griffin in the series.
He might mean that the Pistons maybe steal one, but that's
at least keep it respectable, right?
Yeah, he's decent on defense. He's a good scorer. Now he can shoot from anywhere, which has been a great change to his game. And he can fire people up. So yeah, it would have been, the games would be closer, and the Pistons might win one, but I think that's about it. And Bucks are taking this. I'm seeing a clean sweep.
I no offense to Motor City, but I don't see the Pistons winning a game. Even if they had Blake. Blake has proven to not be an effective tool in the playoffs, or at least his presence in the playoffs has been very limited in terms of production. So last series is the word I was looking for. Last series is the Rockets and the Jazz, which does not get me excited at all.
I gotta retract my statements because the Jazz are playing like shit. I thought they were a lot better of a team than this, and I was wrong. The Rockets are taking it to them. I think the Jazz maybe win one.
On Saturday, the Jazz are a 3-point favorite at home over the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, the Jazz, again, they have a really good home crowd, too, when it's not being awful to Westbrook.
Yeah, but do you really blame anyone for saying awful things to Westbrook?
I mean, what that guy said, yeah.
No, you're right. What that guy said, yes. But, like if you were courtside at a Knicks Thunder game, would you not just have the inclination to yell out, Westbrook, you're a bitch, or something like that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Westbrook is kind of hilarious. Like, he's a dick, but to me, I find it funny.
I would hold up a sign that says Durant 2, Westbrook 0.
That's pretty good.
Obviously referring to championships.
Especially if we get Durant, I would bring that sign.
The more I think about it, the more I don't want Kevin Durant. Like, his talent is off the charts.
I'd rather have him than Kyrie.
So I would rather Damian Lillard, because first of all, Kevin Durant's become quite a dick, and he's now got a propensity, I guess is the best word. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly. But he gets ejected a lot nowadays. So, like, I just don't want his negativity. I'd rather have Damian Lillard, who is like, this team sucks, but I'm going to work. This team sucks, but I'm going to keep going.
I mean, yeah, I love Lillard. I prefer Lillard and KD over Kyrie and KD. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. We got some interesting things coming up, but yeah, Jazz look like crap and are not going to advance.
No, they're not.
We called that last week, I think, too.
And I'm pretty sure we all said, watch out for the Jazz, right?
I didn't.
I did. I thought they were going to be better than this. I did say that the Rockets were going to win, but I said, I thought it was going to be like a 6 game, maybe even 7, but no, this is going to be a 4 game, maybe 5.
Yeah, which sucks. Anyways, Rockets probably going to have this one pretty fucking easily.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, when you're that dominant at home, it's rare for it to collapse very hard on the road.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing that they always say is that defense travels well, and I mean, what do the Rockets have if not James Harden's defense?
Right.
It's traveling.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's the NBA playoffs in a nutshell. Obviously, next week we'll be able to talk a lot more about the playoffs because presumably at least 2 of these series will be completely done.
And we'll actually know where a lot of these teams are good and where their weaknesses are.
Exactly. Now, where we have more news is going to be the NHL playoffs.
Yes.
Because we have seen some of the craziest shit possible already. Dan O'Shea, you're the resident hockey nut, so let's let you basically take the puck and lead us in our analysis of NHL playoffs.
Oh, man. Well, as I said last week, this is why I love NHL playoffs, because there's more parity than any other league, in my opinion. The Columbus Blue Jackets, the second wild card spot in the East, who squeaked into playoffs after an interesting late regular season trade, went and crushed the Tampa Bay Lightning, winners of the President's Trophy, the best team in the regular season by far. They were like the third team all time for best regular season record. And they get swept. They get outclassed in every facet of the game. Columbus was all over them. It wasn't even like, the final game, sure, Tampa played well and, maybe could have won that one. But Columbus, through the whole series,
except the first two periods of the first game.
Right. Their defense was just impenetrable. Their offense was unstoppable, as Mike Tyson said, maybe with a little bit fewer S's.
Their defense was impenetrable. Their offense was unstoppable.
Yeah, there you go. Tampa Bay forgot how to hockey. They looked completely lost. Their top players were getting suspended, weren't showing up. It was a sight to see, and part of that is that the reffing in hockey playoffs is different than the regular season. I think that is something that the NHL has to address, because they, in every playoffs, teams are expected to get away with a little bit more, but in hockey, it seems like at times it's a completely different game, because they let things slide with nothing or a slap on the wrist. That would be like a 5-minute major in the regular season at minimum. But it's still fun to watch, and they could fix it by being less uptight in the regular season, for one, I think, and tightening it up a little bit in the playoffs, so that way you're meeting in the middle and it's a little bit more consistent.
Or at the very least, set the expectation. Be like, hey, regular season, we're going to be strict. Playoff time, we're going to let players play.
Well, that is kind of what it is, but I mean, that's why you have things like this, because Tampa plays a prettier game. They make nice passes and set up beautiful shots, but they were just getting smacked around by Columbus, who's a bigger, rougher team. Columbus was out hitting them by a large margin, and Tampa Bay looked shook from it, like they didn't know how to respond. But that's the first time in history that a team that dominant in the regular season has ever been swept. I think it's the first time a President's Cup winner has been swept in the first. President's Cup winners have lost in the first round, but I think that's the first time they've been swept. And this is huge for Columbus. This is their first playoff series win in their 10-year history. This is huge for Ohio. Columbus fans, I'm sure, have been crying tears of joy. Well done, Columbus. Well done.
They seemed like they were embarrassed after last year's fiasco of, beating up on Washington for a couple of games and then just letting Washington take a dump on them. So they took it out on the Lightning.
That's what what's his name on Tampa said. You were up 2-0 last year as like, we'll come back, and then nope, you lost 4-0. But Tampa Bay is gonna get roasted for the foreseeable future, because this is the biggest collapse like anyone's ever seen. This is worse than Chicago was a few years ago. This is worse than the Red Wings. This is far worse than the last big President Cup winner that collapsed, which was the Capitals back in 2010.